Day off till tomorrow.
Ready? Good morning. It is 9 a.m. on Tuesday, July 16th, 2024, and I call this regularly scheduled business meeting of the Bonner County Board of Commissioners to order. For the record, I'm Chairman Luke Ahmet, and Commissioners Bradshaw and Williams are also present. Our normal first order of business is an invocation, but we are our scheduled individual is not here. Is there anybody that is assembled that would like to give a prayer before we open? Otherwise, I will proceed with the business.
Almost Commissioner Corn, you want to do it?
Please rise.
Thank you, Lord, for bringing us together on this wonderful day. Please watch over us during this meeting. Please guide us on our decisions that we make. And I ask this in your name, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Our first order of business is to adopt the order of agenda.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Seconded.
There's a motion and a second to adopt the order of agenda as presented. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. The motion carries. The next order of business is the consent agenda.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, based on the information before us, I move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
I second the motion.
There is a motion and a second regarding the consent agenda. Is there any discussion amongst the board? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I abstained.
The motion carries, and to go back, the expenditures of over $5K for today are Road and Bridge has Traffic Corporation for contract flaggers for the chip seal program at $20,160. True North Steel Culvert and Bands for a failing culvert on Garfield Bay Road of $34,402.12. The sheriff has a confidential item for $5,631.28. A ILETS quarterly user fee for $18,762.50. The facilities for Sunbelt Controls, a replacement of cooling tower spray pump for the admin building cooling system of $6,230. And number 6, there is a replacement of an AC unit at Lilybrook for trademark heating and cooling for $11,794. Our next order of agenda is with the office of the clerk. But if the clerk is not here, then I will.
Here's Justice here.
Sorry.
Oh,
No,
perfect.
For the clerk's office.
Perfect. You will do, yes, ma'am.
quite
Okay.
looking.
Miss Jessica Stephanie for the clerk's office.
Good morning, Commissioners. I have 2 demand claims batches. So we'll do the first. So Bonner County fiscal year 24 demands in batch 21 in the amount of $321,983.53. And the big one is medical at $290,000.
I move to approve payment of the FY24 demands in batch number 21 totaling $321,983.53.
Seconded.
There's a motion and a second. Is there any deliberation amongst the board? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The motion carries.
Okay, and then I have fiscal year 24 EMS demands in batch number 21 in the amount of $564,980.88. And that is for the construction.
I move to approve payment of FY24 EMS demands in batch 21 totaling $564,980.88.
I second the motion.
There's a motion and a second. Is there any deliberation amongst the board? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The motion carries.
Perfect, thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Stephanie. Our next agendized item is with GIS. Oh, I have Human Resource. I'm sorry, that was my bad. With Human Resources, go ahead, Director Clark.
Alicia Clark for the record. The financial numbers given to auditing in place of the budget for the current fiscal year was short by $55,956.37. GIS has been managing their budget, relying on these funds being provided. The clerk and the HR director recommend that the Board of Commissioners authorize the salary transfer of $47,087.15 from the general fund statutory reserve to account 001246060, which is salaries, and transfer $5,267.05 from the general fund statutory reserve to account 001246120, which is Percy, and transfer $3,602.17 from the general fund statutory reserve to account 001246130 FICA.
Why did that happen?
It was a
There's no
calculation
explanation.
within the spreadsheet.
Within the spreadsheet?
Yeah, the summing of it missed a line, one of the fields.
And when was that discovered? Was it only recently discovered?
Yes.
There's not an interim outlet?
Yes, it was.
So did they identify a process to make it so that that doesn't happen again, so that
Yes.
that gets caught? What was their fix?
Going forward, all the sheets will be reviewed by HR and auditing to ensure all the formulas and everything are accurate before it's put into the budget.
Thank you, and thank you for making sure there was a process to correct the error.
Yep.
Based on the information before us, I move to approve Resolution 2024, number to be given at a later date, authorizing the clerk to transfer $47,087.15 from the general fund statutory reserve to account 001246060 salaries and transfer $5,267.05 from the general fund statutory reserve to account 001246120 Percy's, and transfer $3,602.17 from the general fund statutory reserve account 001246130 FICA.
Seconded.
There's a motion and a second, and this will be Resolution 2024-42. Is there any deliberation amongst the board?
None.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The motion carries.
I'm next.
Perfect. Let's have you stay up there then.
The first one we have is the COBRA renewal. So Bonner County Human Resources Office is seeking approval and signature for the Pacific Source COBRA administration renewal. There is no rate change to the COBRA administration.
Mr. Chairman, based on the information before us, I make a motion to approve the renewal documents for Pacific Source Cobra for 10/1/2024.
I second the motion.
There is a motion and a second. Is there any deliberation amongst the board? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The motion carries.
Okay, the
Thank you.
next one is the FSA renewal. I had two. Bonner County HR Office is seeking approval and signature for the Pacific Source Flexible Spending Account Registration Administration renewal. There are currently 29 employees enrolled in the Flex Spending Account with an increase from $3.75 per employee per month to $4, which is an increase of $7.25.
And this isn't our regular time to do the renewal, right?
Yes.
Based on the information before us, I move to approve the renewal documents for Pacific Source FSA plan for 10/1/2024.
Would second that.
There is a motion and a second. Is there any deliberation amongst the board? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Clark. Our next agendized item is with Director Stoltz from Justice Services.
Morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
Ron Stoltz, Director of Justice Services, for the record. I just have one item this morning. We received an unanticipated revenue from Consolidated Telecom. That is the company that provides telephones inside the juvenile detention facility for the residents to use to contact their parents or attorneys. That does generate revenue, and for this, I believe it's for a quarter, $2,408.85. We'd like to route that, those amount of funds into our food fund that is used to feed the juveniles within the juvenile detention facility. I won't read through those numbers because I know one of you guys will have to
Okay.
do that.
Oh, go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, based upon the information before us, I move to approve Resolution 24-43, ordering the clerk to schedule revenue in the juvenile detention FY 23-24 budget in account number 03475-7630-food by $2,408.85. This adjustment is due to the receipt of unanticipated reimbursement revenue received from Consolidated Telecom, Inc.
I second the motion.
There is a motion and a second. Is there any deliberation amongst the board? All in favor?
Aye.
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 The motion carries. Thank you, Director.
You always give us money to distribute. I like it that way better.
And our next agendized item is the District 2 Commissioner discussion.
All righty. Thank you to everybody that watched our BTA, Better Together Animal Alliance. They got a lot of increased visibility with a lot of people that wrote letters to the county regarding what they wanted to see happen with Better Together. They offer a lot of services that extend beyond kind of your traditional shelter, to include being able to check out a pet. If you don't want one for a lifetime, you can go walk one for a day. They are looking at, as we mentioned last week, a need to increase what they're asking of the county. So making sure we understand their needs and our obligation is going to be important as we come to budget time. We have, our next commissioner chat is August 6th with a grant consultant. That is the last chat that I have scheduled, but I am looking at whether or not we need to ask Idaho Tax Commission to do a discussion as we go into more of our property tax kind of questions that we have. The West Bonner County School update, if you are not aware that the levy did not pass, however, they do have a fundraiser going for the school district. And so you can go to goinnovia.org if you want to donate directly to the West Bonner County School District. They have a list of what it is that they're seeking, and it's a little bit over $1 million that they're looking to raise. So I printed some of those out if people wanted to donate to West Bonner County School District. They have their monthly meeting. Actually, there will be one tomorrow if you wanted to participate in their meeting. We had the board voted to auction off the senior center in Priest River. They had a vote last night that the Priest River does want the building back. And so I'm hoping that we can expedite giving them the building back so that our community center can remain within our community. It is heavily used, and they are eager to see that transferred. And so I will be reaching out to Bill Wilson to see what are the next steps, given that we had already communicated that if they were willing to take that building back, that they could have that building back from the county instead of the county offering it up for auction. I did reach out to the group there, and they are hopeful that we can make that happen expeditiously so that they can do some future forward planning. They did sign their lease contract with the city in anticipation that we're going to move forward in that direction. July 22nd, I am participating with the State Department of Health and Welfare and our Panhandle Health regarding behavioral health. I've been doing a lot of discussion in our community about pulling behavioral health services into Bonner County. The idea of telemedicine is really good, but it's not the best option for behavioral health, especially as we see impacts in our law enforcement and our community as a whole. So I'm thankful that Panhandle Health and the state actually recognized that request and reached out to say, let's have that discussion on how we can help Bonner County succeed in this area. There is a link that I've sent out to key people within our community to include school districts, justice services, our sheriff's office, to participate of what is it that we need so we can start making a future plan for that. Our increased need of mental health treatment options locally is going to be steadily on the rise. We're getting some with a huge gap with respect to youth, which we need to capture before it becomes something that is uncontrollable. Today, we are having the workshop about property tax. It's not about your personal property tax or how high it went. It's just how do we do it in Idaho? A lot of people have gone through the BOE and asked us the question of, my property value is skyrocketing and I can't afford to pay the taxes. What is the county doing? And so I got so much input from the community that I reached out to Legislative District 2, because that's the one I'm in, elected officials to do a panel discussion on what is our community feeling about property tax and what would we like to see them put forward at the state level. So right now, the date is looking like it will be July 30th. I've tentatively scheduled that with a Zoom link as well. I'm waiting for, one of the representatives needed to check their schedule to make sure they could, but it looks like all three, Senator Hart, Representative Scott, and Representative Hawkins will be available. In having advertised that, what people are asking me to do is to do it with Legislative District 1. So I will reach out to those persons as well so that we can have a meeting of the minds of what are we feeling in terms of property tax and what we want communicated about that impact. A lot of properties raised such that some of the tax breaks are not available to people on a fixed income, and they're coming in with BOE complaints saying, I'm going to lose my property, the taxes, their values increased, and I know there's a different relationship, but it still ends up with people are paying more with less relief. And so it's an opportunity to really look at elected officials and how we want them to represent our issues down at the state. And so I will give you an update once the last representative confirms that they will be available for that particular date. I think I'll do a couple of those to go throughout the community a little bit more so that we can come together. I know a lot of people have written me about Proposition 13 out of California. Why don't we have a cap? Other people say it's unconstitutional. Why do we have property tax? And so we need to have that discussion and package it up such that when we go to our legislatures, we can have an expectation of what's communicated and what we expect as a community. So I'm trying to bridge that particular gap. There's still the workshops pending with respect to, we need to change the bylaws for our waterways. The board is going to be interviewing people for the director position tomorrow and Thursday, and hopefully we can get an update to the waterways bylaws. And I think that is all that I can remember at this particular moment. Any questions for me? Yes.
Where and at what time is property tax chat going to happen?
11 o'clock today, downstairs, workshop. And then the tentative with the panel of elected officials is the 30th of July.
Where?
Zoom or here,
Okay, got it.
1:30 to 2:30. No stories about your personal tax. It will take up all of the time.
Camp A?
Camp Bay, Lewis was in court yesterday. I did actually go over there to try to talk to him. I will reach out to him. I didn't get an update, but he was in court yesterday. So I will, that's on my list. Army Corps of Engineer, there's no new updates either, but I'm staying in communication with Taylor on that.
2 questions. So the meeting on July 30th is with the Kootenai County electeds?
No.
You're scheduling one for District 1?
Legislative District 2 is part Bonner County. And so the Phil Hart and Heather Scott and Dale Hawkins are Bonner County representatives, but they're also there. I am going to reach out to Legislative District 1 representatives. It's a little bit harder on theirs because we're in that election time, and I believe some of them are still being challenged on general election, but we know that Legislative District 2 is set because they were not challenged. So I started with that so that when we figure out who's going to be going down to Boise from Legislative District 1, I can do that full panel.
And then my second question was, do you have litigation on here? Does status of the attorneys, outside counsel that we hire, that you've been an ongoing effort?
I'll send you a copy of it. We completed that last week. So Veronica and Bill got all of the updated contracts, and we have an updated list of all of those persons. So I can send you that list. Yep. Anybody else with a question? All right, well, that will end my district commissioner discussion.
Our next agenda item will be public comment, but before then, I will add some context to the Priest River Senior Center. The next steps that will occur, as I have been working on it for the last week, is that a quitclaim deed will be written between the Bonner County and Priest River. I have been in contact with Mayor Connolly. We have been in contact with our legal. This process has already been started, and we look forward to getting that center back in the hands of the residents of Priest River, which will be good. All right. Our first public commenter is Miss Jennifer Kramer.
I'll decline. I was going to ask about the waterways director and the status of that, so.
Yes, Ms. Kramer. Mrs. Kramer. Our next public commenter is Mr. Rick Kramer. Thank you, Mr. Kramer. Our next public commenter is Mrs. Christina Nicholas Anderson.
She passed.
We haven't seen her in a while. She's here.
Morning, Scooter. Thing pretty fancy.
Good driving.
Good morning. Christina L. Nicholas Anderson, Bonner County resident for the record. Commissioners, neighbors, public at large, I come to you today with my concerns because I requested to be placed on the agenda but was not. The fairgrounds have had its share of media coverage in the last 2 years, beginning with allegations of misappropriated funds and the untimely death of Darcy Smith. To many, Darcy Smith is a reminder of a broken legal system that failed her greatly. To those who really knew her, her death remains an unsolved tragedy. Fast forward to present day, history continues to repeat itself. This time, it cannot be blamed on Darcy as she was not here. However, Darcy's administrative assistant, the primary whistleblower, was not only still working at the fair, but was the one notified of the theft at the time it was occurring and chose to do nothing about it, thus enabling the theft to continue. And to that, she was one of only 2 people responsible for counting all of the cash handled during the fair. Guests of the 2023 fair were charged parking fees daily of either $3 or $5 randomly, despite the published rate of $3. My submitted letter details how this was brought forward and then dismissed. It also reveals the 2023 fair parking payout was the smallest in the last 3 years, despite charging the public more for parking. It identifies the 2 whistleblowers from Darcy's case were in charge of all the cash handling during the 2023 fair as well. Coincidence? Maybe. Maybe not. This nonsense has gone on long enough. You appointed the fair board, and it's time you took your part of your job more seriously with regards to this. Your failure to act is condoning this behavior. The taxpayers support the fair through $20,000 in levied money for awards and ribbons. As well, we're paying the staff wages, benefits, taxes, in addition to their bonds and their insurances. In total, I believe we're paying about $400,000. I'm resubmitting my letter for the public. It's unredacted. It's time the BOC examine whether the county's best interests are being met under the current fair board. Additionally, I'm requesting a full public and legal investigation equal to the one conducted in Darcy's case be completed into the theft of the funds at the 2023 county fair by the following parties: the Sandpoint High School, the cheerleading coach and team, and the Bonner County Fair. Thank you. And I'm submitting my entire letter, unredacted, so it can be requested by anybody, because the redacted one is online. Thank you.
All right, do we have anybody who signed up online? All right, it's 9:24 and this meeting is recessed.